everybody? Welcome back to Introverse Uncharted. It has been a minute, and I sincerely apologize for that. But before we talk about all that, let's do the thing the way we're supposed to do it, right? All right. Hello, all. Welcome back to Introverse Uncharted, the show that aims to remove the gravity from your world and send you on a journey through the stars. My name is John, and as always, I will be your guide into the Introverse. Now, no flashy intros today. I didn't have any nifty little cold opens. I normally try to have something, but this is kind of on a whim. I miss you guys. I miss doing this. I miss having something to dump some creative avenue in, and there's a whole lot of reasoning why it's changed, why it's been gone for a minute, and we're gonna get into that right now, just real quick. So first off, I absolutely apologize for not putting out content. I will say I understand that the videos don't get a monumental amount of views. I'm not Markiplier. I'm not Jacksepticeye. I'm not missing out on 1.8 bazillion views. But for those of you who do tune in, thank you so much. Again, this for me is one of those just fun, creative dumps that I get to kind of do. A lot of the reason why I've been gone is I went back to work. Okay, so when I first started Introverse Uncharted as a podcast, I had stopped working, and I was a stay-at-home dad for a little while, and I had a lot of time to kill and just a lot of output that I wanted to kind of do, and this was always an absolute bucket list project of mine. Once I got back to work, especially working full-time, I started to get tired more often, and I started coming up with those excuses again, just like that. I'm tired, I don't have the time, my brain isn't where it needs to be. So I'm gonna start to try to do better about that. What I'm gonna say is and we'll talk about this probably more right at the end of the podcast, but I don't know what the schedule for this is gonna look like. I'm gonna try to get back to doing it weekly, but there's gonna have to be some understanding, and I also don't want to pump out meaningless content for no reason. So if I have something good to talk to you guys about, we're going to talk about it. If not, maybe we'll do something over on TikTok, or we'll do something somewhere else. But for right now, what I can tell you is that I want to get back to doing this as frequently as I can, and I'm going to try to not make a whole lot of BS excuses. So, I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad that we're going to be doing this, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. I still have all those really cool brainchild ideas that I had been telling you guys about back in, I think June might have been my last episode, early July. I did have a lot of stuff going on at the end of the summer, some out of towns, stuff like that. But, yeah, it's been a minute, and I still have a lot of those nifty little brainchild ideas just rattling around up in there. So hopefully, as time goes by now, we're going to be able to get to some of those. We'll see. We'll see what the work schedule does and how this works out, and we'll see where it takes us. As always, though, we're going to need to get into some housekeeping, because it's been a while. So, if it's your first time here, if it's I think I have 10 other episodes, if it's your 10th time here, the housekeeping is always the same. And the housekeeping is, this is an amateur podcast, okay? This is not a soundproof room. This is actually a closet. Just saying. You're going to be able to hear I got the window open. It's a beautiful day here in Colorado. So you're going to be able to hear people walking by with their dogs. You're going to hear my dogs. You're going to hear my child. You're going to hear all sorts of stuff. Okay. I apologize in advance. There is nothing I can really do about that in these moments. So, we live by the sword and we die by the sword on this one. So, amateur podcast. Number 2. Where can you find all the awesome Introverse Uncharted content that I was doing way back, when I did my last episode, which was, again, like June? TikTok, at Introverse_Uncharted. Honestly, guys, I've been doing stuff there almost the whole time. A lot of it isn't just like me talking to a camera. A lot of it's trips I've gone on. I've started hitting the gym again, so a lot of that kind of stuff. Weird things that I see and just post on TikTok. So go check out my TikTok. Go give me a follow on TikTok. If we can get that TikTok to 1,000 followers, I'll be able to go live and we can do stuff like football and wrestling and all the good stuff on there. But the algorithm on TikTok is an absolute mess. And no matter how much I post, I can barely ever get over 200 followers. I was at 200 followers 2 weeks ago, and when I checked in a week after that, I was down to 175 followers. I post consistently, and I don't post weird political controversial things that would make you want to run away from me. I promise. Okay. I have political opinions. They don't go there. So it is what it is. But if we can get that platform to 1,000 followers, we're going to be able to do some really cool stuff. Number 2, Instagram at introverse_uncharted13. Okay. And then Facebook just at introverse uncharted. You'll find my page there for that. Again, guys, I sincerely apologize for the time delay. Now you guys are back to seeing me rock back and forth in this chair for the next, God only knows how long this episode is going to take. 15 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. I don't know. Maybe I'll still be here tomorrow. Who knows? Who really knows at this point? But, as always, until then, we got to get to our pre-flight checks. Buckle up those seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. It's go time. All right, welcome back, everybody, and we're going to get into our pre-flight checks. Now, if you remember pre-flight checks from prior, that's where I just kind of hit my little news reel, things that I think are important or that I just want to talk about, and that is on me. So if you don't like it, please keep listening. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. You know how it goes, though. Small news stories, stuff like that, things that I just think are relevant or important or that I want to chalk off the list. So that's what we're going to get into now is our pre-flight checks. And it's been a while, so we get to talk just a little bit about Starship. It's been a hot second. Now, Starship, man, since the last time we talked, they have made some advances. Okay, we had a static fire and a spin prime on the booster. We had a static fire on ship 28, I think it is. Man, it's been that long, right? And then they got them up for hot staging and stacked them, and it looked like we were ready to go. And then they got halted. So they still had a lot of violations through the FDA. That's not the right thing at all. Not the FDA. What? Either way, sorry guys, obviously been a second. But either way, government organization comes in and says, nope, you still haven't fixed all the stuff from your last flight. You haven't done all your paperwork. You haven't done all your incident reports, all this stuff. And they halt them, and they gave them 60 things they needed to fix. And the last time I checked, which was probably early last week, they had done 50 or so of those things. And they just reinstalled. They destacked, brought it all down, and then they started cryo testing other ships. So they were starting to do more groundwork, things that didn't need licensing and approval for. And now they just put the hot staging ring back up on the booster. So hopefully we get a restack here soon. Now, for those of you who don't know, the hot staging ring sits in between the ship and the booster. They're going to start using it so that they can essentially ignite the rockets on the ship and push away the booster is essentially how that's going to work. Gives it a little extra protection as there is obviously nitrogen and oxygen sitting inside of the booster. And we don't want to cause big bang bang because that's what happened last time. We don't want that. None of that. So, looks like we're getting close. Elon, as always, man, he's on one as always. That dude thinks they're going tomorrow. He thinks they're going the next day. He thinks they're going yesterday. It doesn't even matter. That man thinks they're going right now, and we'll see. We'll see. I think that at this point, it would surprise me if it was before mid-October. But I mean, I've said it in previous videos. If it happened by Christmas time, I'd be happy. They're obviously trying to do these a lot faster as Artemis is knocking, and the NASA projects and all of that are kind of sitting here waiting for Starship to do what Starship needs to do. So, you know, go SpaceX, go Starship, and let's hope we can get that thing flying and that it doesn't go chitty chitty bang bang just like last time. That will not be very... If that Starship pizzas when it was supposed to French fry, it's gonna have a bad time. Okay? Pre-flight check number 2. This was a little broader. But here we are. NFL season. It's well underway. I missed the first couple weeks, obviously. I missed preseason. Hopefully, all of your teams are doing well, at least by your standards. Obviously, I'm a Packers fan, so the Jordan Love era has started in Green Bay. We're 2-1, and we're looking better than I expected, and I will gladly take that. I'll gladly take that over the bust that I was worried that this year was going to be. I was always happy and hoping and ready to have a year that maybe wasn't ideal, but we're off to a pretty stellar start. Jordan Love looking like he'll fit right in, to the Packers offense and the Packers previous quarterback schemes. We've had some injury troubles with Christian Watson, and Jai was out last week and Aaron Jones was out, but we're gonna have some work to do, and I think that if we can get it all cleaned up, get these injuries cleaned up, we can still look good going forward. But boy, oh boy, I'm in Denver. I don't. What are the Broncos doing? Anybody? Does anybody know? I have had the same opinion about the Broncos for years. So, for anybody out there that's going to say my opinion is differed, who know me, you're wrong, and it's okay. The Broncos like to do this exact thing every year. Let's go get that guy over there. He is going to make our team 1,000% better than it was last year. Just that person. Just that one. And then they go get him. And then it doesn't change. Okay, it just doesn't. It's because you need more pieces. You need synergy. You need motion, and we're not. The Broncos are not there. Okay, the Broncos are not there. 0-3, and they just gave up 70 points to the Dolphins. So their defense apparently wanted that Sunday off, and man, not only did they have to play, but they got dusted. So let's hope that. I say let's hope. I'm not a Broncos fan, so let's just see what happens. Let's see if they can clean it up, especially in a division that looks kind of... I think everybody every year thinks the AFC West is going to look ridiculous, and it's not looking the way that it generally would, and that's fine, Okay, sorry about that. It's not going to look like much, obviously, through video and stuff like that, but I did just have to walk away for a second. I have a 4-year-old, and he stepped on a toy, and it was the end of the world. So now that we fixed that and he's all better and back to doing what he does, I was talking about how the AFC West looks. Every year everybody's like, oh, the AFC West is going to be this powerhouse. This year even the Chiefs don't look as good as normal. Their receiver core is a little banged up. The Bears game doesn't count for anybody who's going to say, oh, but the Bears. The Bears look like trash. The Packers also steamrolled the Bears, so skip that thought process. The Chargers don't look as good, and the Raiders look kind of in that middle area, as always. But, living in a town that's obviously in the AFC West, you hear a lot about the AFC West, and I think it's going to be a very interesting year for them. And honestly, at this point, I don't know that I have, like destined favorites for future runs. Like every team has had spots where they look good and they look bad. There's only 3 undefeated teams left, which are like the Dolphins, the Eagles, and I can't even think of the third team off the top of my head at the moment. But I think there's going to be some interesting moves down the line. Can the Eagles keep on a Sorry about that. Can the Eagles keep on a positive track and they keep looking like they get off to slow starts, and can the Dolphins keep this momentum going? Because the Dolphins look absolutely insane for the most part. So let's see how the year progresses, and I'm sure that as more episodes roll out, we will talk more about the NFL season as it is going. But now we're going to be done with these pre-flight checks. I only had a couple for you today, and we're going to get into the main portion of the show, which, if you remember, starts with ignition.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, and we're back. And today's topic is more like a mixed bag of things. So if you haven't, or if you don't, go check out. There's a podcast called Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and generally Chuck Nice is also a co-host with him. Chuck is a comedian. Neil deGrasse Tyson is an astrophysicist, for those of you who don't know. And they do these episodes of the show called Cosmic Queries, where they essentially answer questions from their audience that they get emailed into them and done through social media and through Patreon and stuff like that. But when they do those, sometimes they're themed and sometimes they're not. And when they're not, they call them mixed bag, cosmic potpourri, galactic gumbo. They have a whole thing for it. But today is going to be kind of a mixed bag for me, in the sense of not answering questions necessarily, but just kind of covering a couple topics. I don't have like a this is what the show is about thing happening. So we're just going to talk about a couple things that I have been wanting to talk about, or one of them is about a trip that I just took and stuff like that. So let's start to get into it. And the topic number one of the day, I'm going to try to get this one out of the way, probably swift. But let's talk about Bray Wyatt. So for anybody who is a pro wrestling fan, and for anybody for that matter who isn't a pro wrestling fan, obviously Bray Wyatt is a talent through the WWE. His real name is Wyndham Rotunda. He's a third generation superstar, and he's been around for a while through WWE. And we lost him just about, I think it's like a month now, just about a month ago. And man, it hasn't been fun. That one hit home. So when it comes to, I've heard a lot of clout. So we're gonna kind of run through these things. It's gonna be kind of random and probably kind of disorganized, but we're gonna do it anyway. I get this question when people like this pass away, and it impacts me. It's always, there was literally a guy on TikTok who said this exact thing. Okay, why does stuff like this impact you so deeply when you don't know them? They're not your friends or your family or anything like that. Why cry? Why be emotional over a professional wrestler that you didn't know? So I get that a lot. And I've gotten that about other people who have passed away in the celebrity world as well. And I kind of always followed up with, like, people think about how many people were sad for, when Michael Jackson or when Prince passed away. The camera images of grown people sobbing their eyes out over these tremendous talents. For me, Bray was probably the first of the pro wrestling world that did that to me. I was too young for the emotional impact of Eddie Guerrero, who passed in 2005, and Chris Benoit, who had the double murder suicide in 2007. I was a child. I think for Benoit I would have been 12, and Guerrero I would have been 10. And I think you just don't really recognize, at least for your own emotions, that it's a sad thing. You just kind of acknowledge that those are talents you're not going to see anymore for obvious reasons. I feel like my brother's generation had a similar thing with Owen Hart and Owen's tragedy, which happened live on pay-per-view, so it's still a vastly different thing. But altogether, tragedy within the celebrity world can impact people in different ways. Bray passing hit home pretty aggressive for me. I slumped for a couple weeks trying to kind of dig myself out of an emotional pit for Bray. It's not the character entirely for me. So, like, I wasn't a big fan of I'm going to call it the Duck Dynasty character. It's not necessarily what it is, but when he was the leader of the Wyatt family, that character didn't necessarily vibe with me and stuff like that, but his later work started to. And not just the work, because that's what I want to kind of say here, is the reason it was emotional for me isn't the work. It's not the characters. It's not all that. It's Wyndham. So the more I started to look into Wyndham years ago, when he started to come back and he dumped the Wyatt family thing, and the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse characters started to exist, the more I started to look into Wyndham outside of wrestling, I just kind of related, and not entirely, but like he was a guy who had previously had like, you know, body image issues, which I feel I have as well. He's a guy who has gone through the ups and downs of depression and stuff like that, which I feel I have done as well. And for somebody to have similar things happening, you know, as I would think for myself, and to still be able to be a top flight performer, an amazing and genuine guy, a great, you know, I think he was just dating his current, you know, girlfriend. I don't think they were married yet, but to be still an amazing boyfriend, an amazing father, and to you know, just have the life that he was having, that kind of stuff really hit home. So for him to be gone so soon, especially when, you know, WWE and Fightful Select and Dave Meltzer and all these guys, Wrestling Observer, all these people were like, oh, we're a week away from getting Bray. We're a week away. Like at this point, we were probably, I think it was like right before Payback, and we were probably, it looked like Payback was going to be his return. And he passed away like literally a week before Payback. So that was, you know, for me, just kind of a shock, as obviously not expecting it, as nobody expected it, as his family and fans and friends and nobody expected it. So it caught me off guard, and it took me a minute to kind of sink in on the impact of that. And especially as you start to see tributes, and the WWE tribute package was they always do an amazing job with the video packages for tributes. We lost Terry Funk in the same week in the WWE, so it was all of that was pretty aggressive. But the video package for Bray really hit home, and seeing all the posts and the tweets and the tattoos and all the stuff, right? Everybody having a thing for Bray, everybody having a reason that Bray hit home and was such a big deal. And I had to work through all of that myself. Coming out the other side, though, I don't know that I feel better. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't family, so it's not the same. But it's, you know, sometimes when you lose things and people that matter to you in some light, it's tough to kind of grasp the next steps. So, until then, I'm going to remain kind of, you know, forward moving, and keep drawing off of, you know, a lot of what I've been doing as an inspiration off of some of his work and stuff like that. You know, that's where you do get to the characters, right? Is, like I said, there was definitely times when you could, he had talked about depression and stuff like that in the past, and I think that when you look at the characters and stuff that he was designing, a lot of them were fixtures of his life and pieces of the puzzle that made Bray. So those are all pretty cool things that I like to try to draw off of myself and keep moving forward. But we're gonna kind of get off of Bray here, and you know, for anybody who was affected by that, you're not alone. I know there were plenty of people in the wrestling community who were heavily impacted, and if you're one of those people who thinks you shouldn't be upset by the death of your favorite celebrities and athletes and performers, you're just one of those people who aren't invested enough for it to matter. And when you get invested, and when you make your life have meaning through that and stuff like that, and you lose pieces of it, it becomes hard. So be sensitive to those around you who lose people every day, whether it's celebrity, whether it's family, whether it's friends. Be sensitive to that, and know that a lot of times the pain doesn't leave. So it's just about how you learn how to deal with it. So again, we're gonna get off of this, and we're gonna move on to the next thing, and you know, move on. So I just got back actually yesterday morning at 2:30 in the morning from Las Vegas. So I went with two friends that I've had my entire life. Essentially, I grew up in their house, they grew up in mine, kind of thing. And we've all gotten recently, like in recent years, into the card game Magic the Gathering. And Magic Con was in Las Vegas this year. They kind of move around anyway, but MagicCon in Las Vegas. We decided that was a thing we wanted to do, and we wanted to hit it. So we flew out for a few days and did a 3-day MagicCon, and then flew back. MagicCon was fun. I've never been to a big-time convention. I've never done a Comic-Con or anything like that. And this was by no means the same thing as a Comic-Con. When you see Comic-Con, you always think of everybody avidly dressed in cosplay and, you know, panels of celebrities and all these kinds of things. Really was not the case. Magic the Gathering and MagicCon was way more like a gigantic buy, sell, and trade event just in the Vegas Convention Center, where you could get cards, playmats, dice, boxes, card sleeves, all this stuff, all the things that Magic the Gathering players collect and utilize to make their game more fun. So it's just a huge convention of that kind of stuff. There was fun things, though. Like, I'm sure it hasn't hit YouTube yet. I've been kind of peeking. But the Command Zone on YouTube, they do the game nights where they tournament play, essentially, Magic the Gathering on YouTube. They did a live from MagicCon, which was super cool, super fun. There was a cosplay contest, so like, yeah, not everybody was in cosplay, but they did draw in some attention to a specific cosplay contest. Magic the Gathering World Championships, they had streaming the whole time, and we were obviously there live, so we could check in and watch. And then the last day of the event, they had like a big watch party for the World Championships, which was fun to watch, fun to see. Like, me and my friends play very casually. It's not ultra competitive. We get competitive, but like our decks and stuff are not like absolute barn burner decks that are gonna win in 3 turns. But it was cool to watch, professionals who know all the ins and outs of their decks play. It just showed us a different level of game for sure, which was a ton of fun. I saw, again, it was a big buy, sell, and trade event, and our group saw somebody buy a Black Lotus card for over $9,000. There were some cards when you were like looking in the cases that were, we saw $20,000 cards and stuff like that too, and I can't imagine having the money to spend on $20,000 on a card. I say that, but for any of you who are players of Magic the Gathering, who follow Magic the Gathering, all that kind of stuff, they did the Lord of the Rings drop not too long ago, and in the Lord of the Rings drop was a one-of-one card called the One Ring, which was a picture of the ring written in Elvish. Like, it was the only card they made like that, and the person who found it sold that card to Post Malone for like $2.6 million. So this game can get extreme, it can get pricey, but for us, it's still just a fun rite of passage, fun to build decks, fun to just throw down with your friends and have something in common and something to do. So that was a ton of fun, and it just kicked open the door for me and these two guys that I've known my whole life to run Las Vegas for 3 days, to have some beverages and throw down, eat some good food. We went to Dick's Last Resort. If you haven't done that, it is an absolute experience. If I have to rank the food on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that's the best thing I've ever had in my entire life, 1 being, oh my God, don't even do that, it's a 6. The food isn't like the greatest thing on the planet, but I will say you do pay for the experience, and the experience was awesome. The workers there are pretty genuine, and if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry before, they are living the dream, because they can just say whatever they want, which is absolutely incredible. We had a blast. It was super interactive, where we could also, talk trash to our servers and to our bartenders. And it was very inclusive in that even the people at tables around you wanted to talk to you, because you had to wear like the funny hats that have the trash talking on the hats and stuff like that. So it was a fun experience to share with not only our group, but to just have a fun bar environment with everybody who was in there and share those moments. That was a lot of fun. As always, walking the strip was intense. Tons of fun, tons of interesting people, and interesting adventures. They're setting up for a Formula One race that's going to happen in November, and I think I heard that they're doing that for the next 8 years. So there's a lot of construction on the strip for them building like grandstands and stuff like that, suites and show boxes and all this stuff. So sometimes it's a pain in the butt. It does take away a little bit from the aesthetic just to see all these big construction projects going on. But altogether, Vegas is Vegas, baby, and it was still a ton of fun. So if you guys haven't gone to Vegas, you should. You should absolutely go and then throw down for, a few days in Vegas. 3 days is about my cap. So we flew in like late Thursday night, and then we're there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We flew out late Sunday after our flight was delayed a bunch of times and arrived back in Denver Monday morning at like 2:30 in the morning. Anything longer than that, like our flight was overbooked and delayed, so they were trying to talk people out of it and give vouchers and stuff like that. If I had to stay in Vegas one more day, I probably would have lost my mind. But there was definitely people, especially in my own party, who could have been there forever. I think you know who you are. But it was so much fun. Again, if you haven't ever gone to Vegas, go to Vegas. If you have gone to Vegas, go back to Vegas. Just don't lose all your money. You know what I mean? It was a ton of fun, and I'm glad to have shared that experience with this group of friends specifically. Again, I've known them basically my whole life, and we had never done this. We've done a lot of cool stuff. We've done plenty of things in Denver, and we went to school together and all this stuff, but we had never gone on a boys' weekend trip out of state anywhere, let alone to Las Vegas. So thank you to you guys. You know who you are for making that weekend a ton of fun. Thank you to MagicCon for having it in Las Vegas, giving us an awesome excuse to fly out and have a weekend in Las Vegas. And we look forward to the possibility of doing it again sometime in the future. MagicCon, if you end up hearing about this, seeing this, whatever, MagicCon, we want one in NYC. Let's do one in New York City. Give my friend group an absolute reason to travel to the Big Apple. Let's do that. Get on that. Let me know. Hit me up. Hashtag me. All the good stuff. This is going to be the longest episode on the planet. This is kind of getting my toes wet again, getting used to the process again. So to finish out the main portion of the show, I just want to kind of talk about where life is taking me and what's going on. So let's talk briefly about the future of this podcast. I don't really know is kind of one of the bigger things. I know that I want this podcast to continue to happen and to continue to exist, as I have a ton of fun doing it when I do it. As I have said in the past, I'm a big bag of excuses and lazy at almost all costs. I don't want to be that way. It is just kind of how life has become for me, and I'm going to try my best to get out of that kind of boat. So the goal is to keep doing the podcast as frequently as I can. I want to do once a week. I almost feel like that's kind of just grasping at straws, and that might not be as attainable as I want it to be. So for right now, once a week, once every other week, something like that. I want to try to put out some sort of content here on YouTube. Again, always check on TikTok, especially. I do a lot of content on TikTok. It's just really convenient, really easy for me to just do drops onto TikTok. So go check me out over on TikTok as well. But I want this channel to be active. And like I said, all those ideas that I said I had in June, you guys, they're still here. I'm still excited about them. It's just really tough to really grab when to do this kind of stuff. I do have somebody also lined up to be on the show occasionally as well. Another friend of mine that I've had for a long time. He's a good dude, and he shares my love of wrestling and my overall just love of having a good time and going on adventures. That guy is going to throw down hard when I get him on the show. It's not if, it is when, because that man is going to be on this show and we're going to kill it. So I'm excited at the prospect of the future of this podcast. The only thing I can't give you is just a consistency. I can't give, like, at this moment, I don't know what it's going to look like. But what I can tell you is I'm going to do my absolute best to continue to bring you this product as much as I can. I obviously have also been trying to dive into other personal projects. I'm in the restaurant industry and stuff like that. I've been trying to kind of gain some traction and business plan. I would like to eventually start my own business, so a lot of that is kind of taking up a ton of time and weight on my brain. I've also been personally working on my own writing more and stuff like that, trying to write stories and stuff like that. And even if they never make it to the general public, just have something cathartic for my brain and just keep that kind of thing going. But passion projects is kind of where I've been lying, and that's all outside of the fact that I still work 4 to 5 days a week. I'm trying to do like 410s, 411s, stuff like that. But I'm still trying to actively be a full-time worker and try to have all these outside projects to keep my brain sane, you know what I mean? So, that's going to just about wrap us up for the day, I think, guys. I normally do a summary here. I think the summary is obviously fairly simplistic. Talked about the impact of Bray Wyatt's death on myself and on the wrestling community, and I talked about going to Las Vegas with the boys and having a good weekend. And I hope to do more stuff like that in the future, and I hope to continue to do this in the future as we wrapped it up with talking about the future of this podcast and a little bit of stuff just about me and where my brain has been for the last 2.5, 3 months since I posted last. Thank you guys so much for anybody who watches this episode. If it's one person, if it's 10 people, if it's 100 people, if it's 1,000 people, thank you guys so very much for taking the time to still tune in and still care about what I talk about, all the random nonsense. It just gives me an output, and I can just kind of talk and get some stuff out. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys tune in again when I do this again. Hopefully next week, if not next week, the following. But we're going to start trying to get right back into the weeds on this show. Because we were down bad, we want to be up good. And that's going to be where we're at from here on out. As always, we're going to cap this thing off with a quote of the day. The quote of the day is going to be a Bray Wyatt quote for Bray Wyatt. And that quote is, "I am the color red in a world full of black and white." So, for all of you, I draw a lot of inspiration from that quote to stand out, to do something different, to not just fall into the background, but to be your own self and to embrace the crazy, to embrace the weird inside of you. Be the color red in a world full of black and white. Go check me out, guys, on TikTok at Introverse_Uncharted, on Instagram at Introverse_Uncharted13, and on Facebook at Introverse Uncharted. And until next time, I always bid you to do more than just exist and come with me into the Introverse. Have a great day. Thank you so much, guys.